Okay, so like we discussed last time on the reach, right? You will notice that, like I said, if you look at this area, I just opened this chart now. This is AUD card. Okay. So the first thing I want to know first, I want to know where I am in the market. What is the market doing? So you don't need to begin to look at, if you zoom in with this, you're using a tab. So you just look for a way to zoom in. Look at me now. I've zoomed into the lowest possible zoom, right? You can now see that from this point for almost so long, it was coming down for months. It was coming down, right?
Yes.
So coming down, coming down, coming down. Why was it coming down? Based on what we discussed, you could see that it was creating low, right? Then lower high. This is a high, but this high is lower than this high. So we call this lower high. Then it created lower low. Okay. Then again, it came and it created lower high. Okay. Even this area can be set to lower high. Okay. So onwards until this particular low here. This particular one. Until it got to this particular area here. So from this particular area, it did not create a new low. Instead, it did this thing, which is sideways, correct? Now this is what we call exactly parallel market consolidation or whatever you want to call it. So it's just basically it's just moving sideways, which we both know. Okay. Now, even this area, that sideways thing happened here. No clear cut, no clear cut direction. And again, that's what's happening here. This is a 30-minute time frame for intraday trading. If you just want to trade within the day, catch 20 pips or 30 pips, 10 pips, whatever, and get in and out. Okay. So now you can clearly see that as after doing this here, bouncing up and down, it broke out of it here. Now, it did not create, instead of creating lower high, it now went on and created higher high. Yes, so this high is now higher than this particular area here. Okay? So that's this particular high. Let me now, after understanding where I am in the market, I can now zoom in, okay, to know where to deal, where to take a position. Okay. Now, this was the last high before this particular low. Then price did all this, did all this. This can be called a lower high, but there's no lower low until this candle burst out of this area. It broke this area. Now is called market structure. That's what we call it. What is structure? Or a series of all these highs and lows, or support and resistance levels, basically. So it broke through this area, broke this, came here again, broke this one. Now it has now given us a higher high. Based on what we have been talking so far, the next thing that we should expect is that it should give us a higher low. Okay, this area is a low. Now this area is a higher low, correct?
Higher low. Yes.
Now you can see the zigzag pattern there, something like that, something like that. Zigzag pattern. Yeah. Higher highs, higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. So let me close it so I cannot distract. Okay, so where are we? Higher highs. Okay, this place is almost the same thing with this area, so we can just
I think they are on something.
Yes, so we can push it to this area. See that? Higher high. Now, higher low, correct? Now, what is it trying to do now? It's trying to give us higher high. Can you see that?
I'm suspecting this this thing might go back as it.
Well, we don't suspect, we don't guess. What will happen is we just follow basically the rules and the movement. Okay. Now, what we are expecting is it should either give us something like this. If we go back to this area, we expect it to come somewhere around this area or even rise up to this area, because usually market will always chase these structure levels, right? It will always pursue these structure levels. So if it gets to this area, then we expect it to now come back again, all right, to give us something higher. That's probability that we are talking about.
Yes, okay? It is.
Probability. But the idea is if it has done it in the past, right? If you look at all the movement, that's basically what it does. If it has done it in the past, then the likelihood of it doing it in the future is there. So what we do now is quite simply we just say, based on our rules, come to this area, looking at our zigzag pattern that is giving us higher. Remember what we discussed the other time? We said, okay, why did it turn at this area? Why did it come all the way? Why did it turn here?
Down.
Why did it turn here? Okay.
Yes.
It turned here. Okay. So we're going to
look at that. There.
Yes, and then continue going up. Okay. And then went up, up, up. Why did it come to turn here? Here. Why did it drop all the way down here?
Way down.
You understand? It turned here. And then now it's giving us a higher high. The likelihood of it going further upward. Okay. So in order, what we discussed last time, we said, look, for us to be able to determine the areas, like I said, it's probability. Some people will push in money at certain areas of the market to change the direction of the market. Okay. These are, remember the rule, if you want to buy, is that you buy when the price of the asset is cheap. Right? If you want to sell, you sell when the price of the asset is high. Now, if you follow that logic, you will notice that when it's dropping, the big boys or the banks or the dealers, they want to enter this market or buy this market because the market is going up. They want to buy it at the cheapest possible price.
Great.
You understand? The cheapest possible price.
So they expect it to go down, way down.
Exactly. If you are a patient person, you will even wait for it to come all the way down here. If it's for a buy, you want a cheap price. Okay. All right. So let's now take a look at why it turned here. Like I said, let me use a circle to represent particular areas. Let's look at why it turned here. Yeah. Let's also look at why we find a turn here.
Stop there.
Yes, somewhere here. Then we look at why we find a turn here, right? After it consolidated, went sideways, came here, and then this big candle came up. So we want to also know why that happened. Then we want to know why here. You understand? So if we identify some similarities between why the turn happened around these areas, right? We should be able to determine what, not 100%, because there's no market that is 100%. All we can do is to say, okay, based on historical data, based on the things that happened in the past, right? We should be able to say, okay, it will repeat itself again. So we wait for it. Yes, we wait for it in an area that does a similar thing to this area that we have highlighted. We wait for it in that kind of area if we find something like that. So if it retraces back into that area again, then we have no choice but to buy or to sell, depending on which market we are looking at. So let us again look at the reasons why these areas are significant, why we found a turn that gave us a big move, a spike, up for the buy. Okay. So first and foremost, let's analyze this area. So I told you that there are two things that we should look at. One, the order block, right? And two, the flip zone, correct? And I said for the flip zone, you may have something like this. If you want to mimic this thing now, price is going this way, creating higher highs and higher lows, right?
Yeah.
And I said the flip zone is usually, this is an area of resistance, right? Area of resistance. When
Area of what?
resistance. This resistance.
Okay.
What is resistance? Where price gets to and it stalls. Okay, it slows down. It may be rising, like you see this area from here to here. Nothing is holding it, it's just rising, right?
Yes.
And then it got to this area. What happened? You begin to see smaller candles. You see,
Yes.
big candle, then it
Big
begins
candle.
to slow down. Then here, you begin to see black, blue, red, smaller candles, and then it comes down. That's an area of resistance, right? Like the literal meaning of resistance, when something is like a ceiling, something is preventing you from moving, continuing your move, right? Like the gravity now, if you jump up, definitely, if there's nothing that is pushing you from down, right, you will definitely come down. Even if you are jumping on trampoline, the only difference with trampoline is that you will jump higher. But definitely gravity will still push you down.
Down, yeah.
Exactly. So that gravity that's pushing you down is an area of resistance. And usually it is the opposite dealers or the opposite people that are trading in the opposite direction that you are trading. So if there's more money or more funds, they push the market the other way. Okay. That's just the layman way of looking at it. Now, if you now come to the opposite way, like if it's coming down, let's look for an example, like this area now. You can see that it's coming down. Okay, then it went up back there, then it came down.
Okay, lower low.
Yes, lower high. Lower
low. More lower low.
Yes, lower high. Lower low.
And down.
So forth and so forth. Yeah. And blah blah blah. There may be smaller ones here, but let's just take all the way down. Now, the opposite of resistance is support, and that support you can find it here. Okay, you understand what I mean?
Yes.
This is where you find. This is where you find the support. So what I'm saying is, the opposite of the buy setup is now the sell setup, right? All right. So let's finish with the buy setup, and when you get price gets here, these are resistance. So for the flip zone idea that we're talking about, we're just trying to simplify this. You'll notice that this is the resistance, correct? When price, this is like picture perfect, but it will not always be this picture perfect. When price now breaks, it gets here, like it did here. Look at this area. It stalled, then it came down, right? Down like this. Now after coming down, it now had a push up. Okay, that push up, you can see the blue, straight blues up. And now it now broke through the resistance, right? When it breaks through the resistance now becomes a support, right? Like this area. You get my point now? That's what we call the flip zone. So this area, after breaking it here, broke it like this, right? The area where it now broke, that is this area now, area of resistance, right? After price broke, it came back. That area of resistance now becomes our area of support, which is here. You get now? Let me turn that to red.
That area is the flip zone, right?
Yes, that's the flip zone.
Yeah, this place.
So most likely an area where you look for a buy.
Okay.
That's what I mean, basically. Now, if you look at from this area now, this becomes another resistance, correct? This becomes another resistance. Am I correct? You can see my cursor.
Yes.
Now, if you bought here, most likely you will take your profit at this area here, because beyond this point, price may drop back down here.
Down.
Right? Yes, or continue coming down. You don't know. Okay. So what we are now saying is, if you take profit here, or for whatever, let's not discuss that one. Later we'll deal with all that. but price creates another high, right? After creating another high, right? It broke through this place now, this resistance, this resistance now becomes support here. Are you getting me? So this becomes, yes, this becomes another flip zone.
The resistance
again. Yes, another area where you can buy. So this type of support or the flip zone. Do you understand the logic?
Yes.
All right, so let's apply this simple picture we have drawn to the chart. Let's see how, yes, let's see how it relates to, I don't know who this is, bookie.com. You're welcome, all the same. Okay, so if we try to apply it to the chart for a simple scalping system, you just need to go behind, as in look backwards. You can see that this is the last area of the pullback, something like, remember we're talking about, when we're talking about the sell, down, up, right?
Down,
up.
Yes.
I'm using layman terms now, just for you to understand. Later we'll use the professional terms, okay? Impulse, pullback, in correction, and all that. So when price does this pullback now, this area now, right, is your area of support, right? This particular area, the opposite of what we have done here. You understand?
Yes.
So this now is your area of support. Now price cuts through your area of support, and now that area of support becomes resistance. You see that? So this now becomes resistance. Okay. Then you now have price now creates a new low here. Creates a new low here. After creating a new low here, okay, it cut through it again, broke through it.
And broke down again.
Through it, yes, it now went up. But in this case, it didn't respect this place. It went all the way to this particular one here, right? Before giving us a new
low.
Right? Exactly. Now you can now see that these areas where it created these new lows, if we trace it to the future, mark out this area again, just for the purpose of the lecture. Just mark out this area. I'm not following the lines exactly, just for explanation. Okay. Now you can see that this area is support, correct?
Yes.
Right? If you look closely, this area is support, right? This particular area. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That area now, this support now, price broke through it, came back here to give us a resistance, okay? Before dropping. If you mark this resistance, this area now, mark this area, that's why I put this blue box here. Drag it into the future. Can you see where price respected as a reference point? Do you understand?
Yes.
So this is where it's respected as a reference point. This particular area.
In future.
Yes, in the future. It now respected this particular area as a reference point for the move upwards. So if you are checking, this is the kind of area you should check for your buy. The flip zone, just look to your left, see what what story is the market telling you to your left. Is it telling you of the flip zone, or is it telling you of the other block? So I'm going to finish with the flip zone. Let's look at this area now. There's no flip zone here, but it respected the other block. Now price broke through this one. Look at this resistance. It broke it here, right? After breaking it here, what did it do here? Flip zone, am I correct?
Yes.
You see the area of resistance?
Which is the resistance?
Yes.
Yes.
You draw your line here. The resistance that happened here, down, price just went sideways, and then with this big candle, it broke it. After breaking it, what happened? It pulled back down. Again, look at it. It just went below it a little bit, but just by the next candle, it just went up. You understand what I mean? So that is how it works with the flip zone. Before we determine how to buy or sell, let's look at the second thing, which is the order block. What's the order block? Just like the name implies, it's just where orders piles up. That's all. Where others piles up. Now, how do you determine the other block? If price is going upwards, as it's doing here, let me turn this to white. Let me turn this to white. So I think you can see white. Or you can see it as it's red, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So what I'm saying now is this. You see price doing this, doing that, right? These, when price is going up, what you are expecting naturally is, it depends on the colors you select for your candles. It actually does not matter. What you are looking at is you are trying to see blue candles only when it's going up, indicating
Yes.
that the buyers are having the
Buying.
impulse, yes, in the market. But the market will never move in a straight line, just like you have in the regular market. What makes a market is that so long as you have buyers, you also have sellers.
Sellers.
Right? If nobody is selling, there's no balance now. Somebody must be buying for somebody to
Exactly.
sell.
To sell.
Exactly. So now you see that the sellers are the red candles. They push in, but the momentum is with the buyers. That's why they keep creating the higher highs, right? Then the sellers come in, they push prices lower, but the buyers come in. There was a bit of a struggle here, but the buyers won the battle, the bulls at the bears, and they push price higher. So what we are saying is, if market is going up, the last opposite candle to the direction of the market is what you consider as your order block. That's just the literal meaning. Okay. Now, if you look at this area, this high, price came low. Where is before creating a new high, you can see that there's a blue opposite candle here is the red here, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. In this case here, for this particular high, the last opposite candle is, I think it's this one, right? This particular one. It may not be visible, but let me zoom in.
I'm seeing it.
It's still red, kind of red. But if you're not sure about that, you take this one.
Yeah.
That's the last red candle before price created a higher high.
A higher high.
For this particular high here, the last red candle is this one. Am I correct? This particular one.
Yes.
So these are the areas that you also need to look out for. After looking out for your flip zone, right, you also look out for your order block. Any of these two areas, price may, because as retail traders, we don't really know where price will turn or where price will actually move in our favor. All we do is we trade the probability. The truth is that nobody really knows, except for people who have the money to actually push markets. Other than that, we are trading probability. Okay. So now you see price coming down here before coming here. It didn't create a higher high. So we're not going to really consider this one. It didn't create a high, but this area actually is respecting this flip zone, this particular one. You understand? So if you continue, for this particular high now, where is the red candle? This one, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so let's
that tiny one.
Yes, this particular one. Yes. Now you can just see, if you look at this area, see price came here, did all the dance, that's why we usually are patient to wait for price to come into a particular area so that we can have the cheapest possible price if we want to buy, or the highest possible price if we want to sell. Right? So you can see that price dropped nicely, and this particular candle, it touched the order block, correct?
Yeah.
Remember, we have marked this last red as responsible for this particular high, right?
Yes.
Then price started dropping, and dropped into it. Now I'm going to put my straight line so that we can now see how do we now enter. Do we just buy once price touches it, or do we just sell like in this area? You know, price comes back to the order block and you just sell? No. That's where this MACD, you know, we talked about MACD before, so I'm not going to, because of the length of this video, I don't want to push too much talk on MACD. Maybe on a later day, show you how to set it up. Okay. All right. So now, what do? We want to know, do we just buy because this candle touch the other block? Remember, this would have happened though, up until this point would have happened. You would have seen this, right? Then you would have drawn your box, like I've drawn it here, and I just draw the box like this. And you leave it and you are waiting, correct?
Yes.
Now, if price comes here, no, you are not buying. It has not gotten into your other block.
Yes.
If it comes here, no, until
it comes down to that particular line you've taken.
Yes. This meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay,
Hello?
if it ends, we'll restart again, okay? Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
And Zoom is telling me that it will soon end. So if it ends, we'll restart it again, okay?
Okay.
We'll use the same link. So now you can see that price just came here. And with this particular one, this red one here, right?
Yes.
This is the one that touched it. Fine. Now, because remember I told you if you're using 30 minutes on your higher time frame, you use 5 minutes for your entry, right? So I go to my 5 minutes now. At least 2 time frames lower. I look for my line. See my line, this particular one, right? All right. So let's look for it. So this particular, you can see where I dropped it on the 30 minutes is not where it is.
Yes.
Right? You can see that it still came down, 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 red, and this was the particular one that touched it. This particular blue one. Now, but when this particular blue one touched it, look at your MACD. Your MACD is still going down.
Yes, it's not giving me a clear sign to buy.
You want the blue one now to cross
to come on
top of the red one. And when did that happen? That one happened. See, all this was just going sideways until this particular candle, correct? Immediately this particular candle closes, what do? You buy. That's all. You just now you don't know whether it will go in your favor or it will not go in your favor
or not.
That one you don't know. But what is important is that your rules of entry has been met. Are you getting me? You buy.
Yes.
If you want to even look for a clearer buy signal, go to your 1 minute. Go to your 1 minute, zoom in. Let's look for that area here. Where's that area? Yeah. You can see all these things now, all these things. See the area where you can buy here. See that? You see now? You see what you did on the 1 minute?
Yes.
It gives you a more clearer entry. You can buy here. Stop loss now will now come here. Your stop loss will come here. Very tight. Here. How many pips? 6 pips.
Yes.
And your take profit now. You now go to your 30 minutes and set your take profit. But for the sake of this one, let's still leave it at the 5 minutes. You come here. I come here. This is where I buy, right?
Yes.
Immediately I see the cross and this candle closes, I buy. I put my stop loss below. How many pips? 8 pips. My take profit now. What does that mean? As in where I will close the trade. I go to my 30 minutes. Sorry. 30 minutes. I look for my resistance or structure level, correct? And you can now see that this is the structure level here. So I drop it here. You understand? I drop it here. How many pips now? 8 pips to get 24 pips or 25 pips. You see that? You understand?
Yeah.
So basically, that's just the summary of this whole thing. Just look at that using the order block or the flip zone. So this is a picture perfect scenario, but if you want to do, you can just use different currencies to check this out. It works. Just check it out. Use different currencies.
But it's the same procedure now.
Yes, now.
The same procedure for all.
For all, the same thing. Now this is 30 for scalping. This is 30 minutes I'm using for my higher time frame analysis, and then 5 minutes for my entry. If you're using the 4 hour for your higher time frame, you use 15 minutes for your entry, right? Okay, so let's go to for a cell setup. Look at this area. Okay, let's check out. I'm looking for a picture perfect scenario. Okay, let's check out this area. So price is coming down, low, right? Lower
Yes.
high, lower low, correct? Lower high, lower low, something like that. Lower high, lower low, etc, etc. You know what I mean? So now,
Yes.
this is the most recent low that gave rise to this high, Abi? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, price broke it here. Price broke it here. After price broke it here, see, it turned back and respected the flip zone. Can you see? Let me
Yes.
delete this one. It respected the flip zone. Now, if you are not sure about the flip zone, you can see that the last, remember, if we are going up, we're looking for the last red candle, right? The opposite. Because if we're going up, we're supposed to be seeing blues. If we're coming down, we're supposed to be seeing reds. So the last opposite will be now the blue. And this is the blue here, correct? This particular one, right? This is the last blue. So if you mark that area now, that's where price came into. Immediately price came into it. What next did it do? It dropped. So let's look for our entry. Immediately price touched it with this particular one here. This particular one. What's the date? November 16th. Let's go to the 5 minutes and look for November 16th. November 16th. Let's see what happened there. If we got a good. This, remember this now, right? Now, look at our setup. This was our box, right? That we drew on the 30 minutes. Do we have a setup here based on the MACD? No. Can you see it's still going up? So we'll continue to follow it. Do we have a setup here? No.
No.
Do we have a setup here? No. Do we have a setup here?
Not clear.
No, we do, but you can see that the candle that closed is still blue. We want to see a big red one down. You understand? So we zoom in, I continue. Now I see the big red one, but do I see the cross down? No.
No.
You want to see it cross down, something like this area. Okay? So now, at this particular one, we now have a setup.
I have it, yes.
Yes. So, but if you sell here, that's why I tell you that with trading, you don't lose one trade and then cancel and throw in the towel. No. So you see that you have a setup here, a nice setup here. So ideally, you are supposed to sell here, right? Based on the setup, right? Your stop loss is supposed to be here, just above there. But you see, with this particular candle, it will have gone up and closed your trade in a loss. You understand? So your trade at this, because of this particular one now, your trade will close in a loss. So once that happens and it closed you out in a loss and continue downward, you still have a setup, right? This is your setup. Again, immediately this one happens, you look to your MACD. There's still a setup. For me, I will still enter again. Okay? As soon as this one closes, yes, I'll enter. But now my stop loss will now be above this particular candle here.
Yes.
You understand? Because then the MACD is still telling you that price is going down. Okay? And then price did not close outside of this your box. Remember this your box that you drew, this blue box. It did not go outside. Remember, when you're trading, you wouldn't have known that this will happen. Remember?
Exactly.
So this is the only thing you're seeing like this.
Seeing at that point.
At that point, this is the only thing you're seeing. So once this one happens, you sell. I'll sell again. Okay? If I sell again, my stop loss now would have increased to maybe say 12 pips. Okay? Now, for my take profit, what do? I go to my 30 minutes and look for the next support level, which is here, correct? Here.
Yes.
So I now put my take profit here. How much am I looking to get? This one is 10 pips. 1-to-1. Okay? But you can see the drop. So what you lost here, you regained. All right. After this setup, you want this one. If your price is still hovering around here and you get another setup, what do? You sell again. Okay. So that's because of time. Time is, I think we have rounded up basically now. I've explained it. A buy setup and a cell setup. Look at another
Cell
setup
setup.
here. Yes, another setup here. You go to your 5 minutes and look for that area. The thing will soon go up now. But anyway, basically, let's round it up here. You understand what I mean now for a
Yeah.
buy and a sell setup. So just watch the video, use it for references, and then if there's any question, you can ask me later. All right. So thank you.
Thank you very much.